Mars is a fascinating planet that's inspired the minds of explorers and dreamers for centuries. In 1873, astronomer Camille Flammarion, 1842 to 1925, of the Paris Observatory, theorized that the dark spots on Mars were caused by vegetation. Today we know that these consist mainly of basaltic volcanic rocks. However, Flammarion was firmly convinced that other planets are also inhabited and published his much-acclaimed work, The Plurality of Inhabited Worlds, as early as 1861. In 1877, Giovanni Schiaparelli, 1835 to 1910, director of the Milan Observatory, was even of the opinion to have discovered artificial channels on Mars, calling them Canali. One interpreted this as an attempt at an advanced Mars civilization against the chronic water shortage. Although there were astronomers who doubted the discovery, Schiaparelli received support from Percival Lowell, 1855 to 1916, the descendant of a wealthy Boston family. He founded the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona, and achieved some renown as an astronomer, which is why a crater on Mars is named after him today. The idea of Martian canals still found supporters until the 1920s, and was likely only finally disproved by the arrival of the Mariner 4 probe at the Red Planet in the summer of 1965. However, the firm belief in Martians led to an invasion from Mars on October 30th, 1938. At least that's what listeners to the CBS radio station on the US East Coast thought that day. Orson Welles, in fact, masterfully directed the radio play War of the Worlds, based on H.G. Wells's 1898 novel, and shifted the setting from Victorian England to 1930s New Jersey. Although a prologue ran at the beginning of the program, making it clear that it was only a production, a large proportion of listeners had not heard it, as another station was still running the rather popular program by Eg de Bergen with his ventriloquist dummy, Charlie McCarthy. This was followed by dance music when suddenly a voice announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our musical program for an important announcement. This evening, at 20 to 8, Professor Farrell of Mount Jennings Observatory has observed some explosions on the planet Mars moving towards Earth at tremendous speed." The whole thing was just the prelude, of course, and the broadcast was designed to be very dramatic. Martians landed on Earth, set entire swathes of land ablaze with their death rays, and sprayed poison gas. In addition, Orson Welles commissioned actor Kenny Delmar to impersonate the incumbent US President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Unfortunately, the 60-minute program ran without commercial breaks, which is why many listeners believed that they were really facing an invading army from Mars. Panic and fear spread like wildfire among the population, and numerous people turned to the police, overloading the telephone network, while others fled with their families, and some even armed themselves and went to war against the oversized tripods from Mars, or rather against everything they thought they were. The US military, on the other hand, did not believe in an invasion from Mars. They thought it more likely it was an invasion from Nazi Germany. As word slowly spread that it was all fiction, the mood shifted from fear to anger at Orson Welles, with most literally calling for his head, leading to him publicly apologizing. Newspapers from all over the US had only one topic on their front page the next day. The New York Times wrote, "Radio listeners in panic, taking war drama as fact," and even reported mass panic in a New York theater as news of the Martian invasion spread. The Los Angeles Times also reported, "Radio story of Mars raid causes panic," and the Daily News even wrote, "Fake radio war stirs terror through US." The events are seen today as a prime example of mass panic fostered by the limited means of communication at the time. But it didn't stop there. In 1949, the play was performed in Ecuador, once again causing mass panic. But unlike in the US, people were so enraged when they learned it was all fiction, they stormed the radio station and set the building on fire, killing several people. In the 1950s, astronomers discovered a strange sign on Mars that looked like an M, and was several hundred kilometers in diameter. Many commentators at the time suggested that the M stood for Mars, and that a Martian civilization was trying to attract attention, while others indicated that it was not an M, but a W, and that this could be a declaration of war. But soon the mysterious sign disappeared. In all likelihood, it was caused by only one of the frequent sandstorms on Mars that spared only the tops of 4 large volcanoes, temporarily revealing the vague outline of an M or W. Most recently, images from the Viking orbiter in 1976 caused a stir, as the features of a human-like face could be interpreted in one of the images due to a play of light and shadow. Only the probe Mars Global Surveyor brought 2001 a new, sharper picture, on which one can see completely clearly that it concerns only a natural rock formation. What's your opinion about life on Mars? Write it in the comments.